Hello, everybody.
Good morning.
Yeah. You'll have to excuse the noise above us. Can't help that. It is the remaining shingles on our roof flapping in the wind because we're having another windstorm and losing more shingles. So.
Yes.
But the good news is the insurance guy was here yesterday and...
Yeah. And the recommendation is to replace the whole roof. Well, like we didn't already know that was going to happen.
That.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Now, we've got a lot to cover, and we hope you stick with us till the end, because this really isn't our video.
Yes, and I want to just make a statement right here, guys. With what Kim and I have, would literally give me the opportunity to do a rant that is literally off the charts. Because it really confirms what you and I have been saying in the past regarding Jehovah's Witnesses and the issue of blood, human sacrifice, absolute control, and all this stuff. So we're going to kind of like revisit this because what have we got, dear?
Well, I'm going to put the link down below to the video we did several years ago. It's called Is Watchtower in the Hospital Business? And we really didn't have, full insight into what the HLC, the Hospital Liaison Committee, does.
But it was mentally thinking this through and recognizing what this was really ultimately leading to. And now we have, I guess, what you would say, like solid evidence.
Well, we want to thank the source, and this is his video, him and his wife's video, because, without them and this information, we wouldn't be able to do this, and they're unable to do a video at this time, and we all know why.
Exactly.
So we want to thank them so much, and this is actually their video that they can't do.
Yes.
And we hope we can present all of this information,
Yeah, and this particular awoke Jehovah's Witness was actually on the HLC committee. And
an elder.
And he has given us a tremendous amount of insight regarding how the HLC operates and all this stuff. So we're going to share some of this here, and if I remember right, we're going to read a lot of what he actually wrote.
Yes.
So that way there we can, you guys have it right from the horse's mouth instead of just Mike and I, Kim and I just bouncing this stuff off of each other.
My dad used to have a saying, go to the horse's mouth instead of his ass.
Instead of the ass, exactly.
Oh,
wait a minute, are you calling us an ass?
Thank you guys for the package. This was great. In fact, a post-it note right on top of everything, it said, Watchtower will poop itself when it sees what you have.
Yeah. Exactly.
We can only hope. I'd pay to see that.
Yeah, I would like to see Let's face when he's shitting his pants when he sees this, because I'm sure it's going to be more rubbery than what he presents in any of his broadcasts.
And I just want to say that most Jehovah's Witnesses, we didn't even know these existed, most Jehovah's Witnesses have never seen these booklets.
Now, these are given to HLC members only, right?
Yes.
Yes.
In fact, he mentions that in his comment. These are clinical strategies for avoiding and controlling hemorrhage in different medical things. And we're going to go through some of this. A lot of medical terms in here that, above our heads.
Well,
but there is some interesting stuff in here.
Well, when you look at, just what do we got? We got 4 medical booklets put out by the Watchtower and Babel Craft Society. What I got? 10, 11 pages each. This one's got
average about 16.
Yeah, this one's got 15. This one's got, this one don't have page numbers on the bottom, but this one's...
I scanned them. They're 16 pages
16.
long.
So, you know what? With all of the information that Watchtower's got here, and, how controlling they are within these booklets, it wouldn't surprise me a bit that somewhere, somehow, they are going to have some sort of disclaimer that gets any type of legal responsibility. Oh, wait, what's this? This is exactly what's happening, friends. They have these booklets that they use step by step by step, telling the doctor how to do his job, but yet at the very bottom there's a note that acts as a disclaimer that if something goes wrong, you cannot hold the Watchtower Babble Crap Society legally liable when you die or something goes wrong.
Yeah, in fact, our source put a little arrow here and I highlighted it, and I'm going to read this before we get started because this is their disclaimer on these booklets. You know, telling the doctors what to do for medical procedures. Now, Jehovah's Witnesses, I want you to stop and think. You're laying in a hospital bed. Conscience, maybe conscience. Someone is making your healthcare decisions. Your healthcare agent. You know, the person that you have on your, you know, what we used to call blood card.
See,
And they are being influenced by the hospital liaison committee.
And that's what you have to remember, is that it's you on that operating table, perhaps dying, and you're letting these guys influence the doctors, because that's what this is all about, friends. It's control over the hospital, control over the doctors, and even control over the anesthesiologist.
Yeah, and you know, our source mentioned to us that it is control, and I'm going to read how much control. And they tell the doctors what to do, what medical procedures, and if it all fails,
it's not our fault. Jesus.
Yeah, so it boils down to they're telling the doctor what procedures to use, and the doctors view Jehovah's Witnesses like this. They're going to die anyway without blood, so we might as well try this and that and all of this. Basically, you're lab rats / guinea pigs. Jehovah's Witnesses are guinea pigs. And that's what we were trying to bring out in our previous video, you know, several years ago. Like I said, I'm going to put the link down below to that so you can see this. Jehovah's Witnesses are guinea pigs for this.
See, and that's really no different into how all of this became a medical practice, because if you research the American Civil War, it was at that time that man's knowledge regarding the human body, grafting, transfusions, and all these other things came about, because they had, you know, people in war situation dying, and the doctors are saying, look, you're going to die anyway, so at least let us try this. And if it worked, good for the patient. If it didn't, well, guess what? They know not to try it on someone else. The same thing is happening with these Jehovah's Witnesses during these procedures and these medical things.
And I just want to mention at the very bottom of these booklets, it says distributed by the Hospital Information Services for Jehovah's Witnesses. And they have an email there that you can contact them. All right, I'm going to read the disclaimer here at the very bottom. Like I said, it's in fine print down here. Note, this information is intended for intensivists, anesthesiologists, hematologists, and other specialists as a resource document and convenient reference. The opinions contained herein do not outline an exclusive course of treatment. But yet that's exactly what they do.
What they do, exactly.
Okay, on with the disclaimer. In bold print, not all listed strategies may be appropriate for or acceptable to all patients. So basically, you know, if something goes wrong, it's not Watchtower's fault.
Right. See, what it really comes down to, Jehovah's Witnesses, is that in particular, the hospital liaison is playing God over you.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And a lot of these booklets actually contain flow charts. Yeah,
what to
flow
do.
charts for the doctors.
It's a level of control.
Wow. All right, clinical strategy booklets. Now, this is our source's comments on these booklets.
Yeah, this is what he wrote to us.
And I just want to say that he is an ex-elder and was in an HLC. And
Bethelite?
Ex-Bethelite. And a lot of insight in what goes on. Now, we found out, we did not know this. We knew they were elders, that members in the HLC are elders. We did not know that they cannot have 9-to-5 jobs. They have to like own their own business or be independently wealthy, because they have to be on call 24/7. That means anywhere, anytime they get a phone call, they have to run. And it's like, oh my goodness, talk about control over, you know, someone's life. I mean, how can you enjoy anything expecting a phone call at any minute, any time, day or night? It's like, my goodness, how stressful, for these that are in HLC. Their family life must suffer horribly.
Yep.
Wow. Okay, his comments. Watchtower distributes through the Hospital Liaison Committee members these booklets. The target audience are surgeons, hospital administrators, doctors, emergency room doctors, and medical treatment decision makers. HLC members are trained to use the information in the clinical strategies booklets when dealing with doctors and to recommend they be followed.
Control.
Algorithms are included in the booklets that map out step by step what a doctor should do when treating Jehovah's Witnesses. See attached number 1. And that is the flow chart. Now, before I go on, I just want to mention that he didn't have this highlighted, but I highlighted it because I thought it was interesting. Because as a woman laying on a hospital bed, and you deliver a baby and you're bleeding, you're hemorrhaging. So, at that point, it should be your husband / father of the child, whoever's your healthcare agent making the decisions. No, they have this flow chart, what doctors are supposed to do. And I notice when it gets to the point to where you're really hemorrhaging, do not delay operative intervention or re-exploration for postpartum or post-operative hemorrhage that can be controlled surgically. Early recourse to hysterectomy may be life-saving. A subtotal hysterectomy requires less time to perform, thus reducing blood loss. And then I look at the flow chart, and at the bottom down here, it says remove cervix and or utilize angiographic embolization. I'm like, holy crap.
Literally telling the doctors how to perform their operation.
What if the JW woman wants to have more kids? She's not going to want her cervix removed.
Right, and we're going to show you guys something. I'm not sure at what point, but we're going to show you guys something that the Watchtower Bible Tract Society is very well aware about receiving blood transfusions versus not receiving blood transfusions, because all of us as Jehovah's Witnesses, we've all been indoctrinated with the perspective that, well, if you don't receive a blood transfusion, you heal quicker, your body, responds better, and you get to leave the hospital, sooner than if you did receive a blood transfusion. Are those statements true and accurate?
Yeah, he covers that also. Okay, now the next thing he covers is the fine print. So we've already covered that. And he says, Watchtower is in essence saying, we want you doctors to follow our recommendations when treating Jehovah's Witnesses, but if something goes wrong, it's not our fault. This fine print disclosure protects Watchtower from any legal action against them on the part of patients, doctors, and hospitals. On the last pages of each clinical strategies booklet, you will find references heading. See attached 3. But since I have the booklet, I'm just going to show that they have these references of medical, journals and all of this. Listed are legitimate medical commentaries and studies that supports Watchtower's recommendations. However, they have been cherry-picked in the same fashion that Watchtower cherry-picks Bible scriptures to support their religious doctrines. As an example, I have included a medical study presented at the 65th annual meeting of the Pacific Coast Obstetrical and Gynecological Society, British Columbia, Canada, September 16th to the 20th, 1998. See attached number 4. And he's got the article or the study right here. And I'm going to read this highlighted point down here. Like Mike just mentioned, we have always been told that those who do not have blood, leave the hospital sooner, they do better, they recover faster, all of this. And we believed him.
Yeah, and just remember, friends, I have always proclaimed in this channel that the Watchtower Bible Tract Society knows exactly what they're doing, even when it comes down to subliminal messaging in their artwork. They know. just like they know what Kim is about to read.
No significant difference between the group studied and the control group could be found in average length of stay or the average change between preoperative and postoperative hemoglobin levels. No significant difference.
So when they sit there and tell you, you're going to recover faster if you don't accept the blood during this operation, they know that these studies are there, that there's no difference as to whether you accept blood or not in your recovering process. They know this, but they don't tell you this because what they're actually doing is they're actually getting you to surrender your own authority, not only from the religious aspect of it, but also from the medical aspect. They want you to surrender your right of choice and give it to them.
Yeah, and I've actually got a Watchtower quote that I'll use later of how they used to feel years ago. All right, on with the source's comments. Watchtower will use secular references when it's convenient for them, but ignore information that challenges their position as they have done for decades. And we know this is true, even with doctrines.
Yep. When they get challenged, they'll ignore it.
They'll use a quote from this Bible, or a quote from this, scholar, or a quote from, this commentary when it suits their, position or their doctrines.
See, and this is why YouTube and the internet is such a damaging thing against the Watchtower Bible Tract Society, because now we can get to that exact source and we can see exactly what Watchtower is cherry picking, just like they did with the Imperial Bible Dictionary regarding the cross. You go get that entire book, even if it's on openlibraries.com, and you can read the entire paragraph and say, wait a minute, this isn't what this guy's saying. Watchtower is just using what suits their ideology. These guys are masters. They're masters at deception, Jehovah's Witnesses. Don't ever forget that.
Now, I have a friend who just went through this with her father almost 2 years ago. And the HLC was in there dictating to the doctor and nurses, what's going to be done, medical procedures. And my friend was saying, no, wait, he can have fractions. And they said, no, he can't. So, and she says, no, I know he can have fractions. It's our decision as the family. And they said, no, he can't have any blood. So I know for a fact that, this kind of thing goes on.
Yes.
How many Jehovah's Witnesses are given this chart? They're not. You have to go back to your November 2006 KM to get something similar.
But it's not the same chart the HLC has.
Do you guys see this right here? Fractions? Personal decision. Going on with our sources' comments on this chart. Blood component chart. See attached number 5. Watchtower has stated on many occasions that medical care is a personal matter. However, the attached blood chart has been used for years to dictate what Jehovah's Witnesses can or cannot accept as regard to medical treatment as it relates to blood. HLC members were told this chart is not an official Watchtower document, yet the chart continues in use. It is especially shown to anesthesiologists. Yeah, show the back. Watchtower has duplicated this information in a different format in their publications so the Brotherhood will know what is acceptable. And like I've mentioned, the first time I seen it was in the November 2006 KM, Kingdom Ministry. Now the Kingdom Ministries, I believe, are all even on jw.org, or at least the more recent ones. But you can also go to your Watchtower library. The KMs are in there.
See, and if I remember, I know we've done a video. I don't know which one it is, or if it's even in the one that you put a link down below. Is that when I first started working at 16 years old, I went into the hospital and became part of the housekeeping crew. And it was at that time that I really learned that in the hospital operating room, the anesthesiologist has absolute authority. Now, few years ago, I had to go have orthoscopic surgery on my knee. And, you know, the doctor came in, well, first the nurses came in and talked, you know, started giving me all the IV stuff to relax me and put me under, or to relax me, not put me under, but to relax me.
I was going to say you were awake the whole time.
Yeah, and then, you know, in came the surgeon. He's going to talk about what he's going to do, yada, yada, yada. And then lastly came in the anesthesiologist. And it was this anesthesiologist that I made clear, being fully indoctrinated, that I made clear that if anything went wrong, I was not to receive blood to save my life. And this anesthesiologist says it's nice to have a Jehovah's Witness say that from their own mouth, because 99% of the time that we hear this, it's coming from your elder's mouth and not the patient's.
And this is an anesthesiologist telling Mike.
Yeah, because
his face.
Because unbeknownst to me at that time, that these anesthesiologists know what kind of authority the Watchtower Babel Crap Society can actually exert over them.
And we'll get into that.
Yes.
You know, when he had his surgery and when I had my hysterectomy, we never let any of the elders know.
No, we didn't.
We never let the HLC know. We just went in and had it done. Now, I want to mention here on the back, it has not acceptable, acceptable alternatives. This is checklists of what is okay. So these HLC members go in and talk to your doctors and surgeons and stuff and show them this and tell them, okay, this is what can be done, and tell them all these, you know, and it's like, wow, you don't really have any control over your medical, you know, care.
And one of the reason is because as Jehovah's Witnesses, we've all been taught to give our undying faith or allegiance and surrender our own authority, which is really an excuse for not doing the research yourself, Jehovah's Witnesses, into all of this. But just to, you know, break everything open and make it simple, simple, simple. If the Watchtower Bible Tract Society years ago, and I've harped on this, and I'll probably harp on it again, if the Watchtower Bible Tract Society back in the 60s says it was against God's law to accept blood fractions, and now miraculously now it's a matter of you know, conscience, then they were wrong about it. They were wrong about claiming fractions was part of God's law.
Oh, I got something even better than that I'm going to bring up later.
Oh, wait, what's this?
Yeah. Right from their own literature. All right. Now, the source goes on. Bloodless surgery directors. Now, I'm not going to mention any names here because last thing I want to do is expose the source and where he lives.
Names, telephone numbers, addresses.
Emails. Bloodless surgery is now a big business. With 1.2 million JWs in the United States and millions abroad, hospitals are racing to establish blood surgery programs to tap into this customer base that represents millions in revenue. I have included one example of a hospital who has hired 2 JW elders to spearhead the program. See attached number 6, page number 2. And like I said, this is an article, I believe. Yeah. It names the hospital Transfusion-Free Surgery and Patient Blood Management Program. And a lot of hospitals are getting these programs. And then when you go to the next page, he's got 2 elders that are in charge of this program. And he says both elders hired guns. Like I said, the one is the director of the program and the other one is the program coordinator. And like I said, I'm not going to mention which hospital this is or which state, you know, to protect our source. But these are who are in charge of this. Okay. Watchtower requires that any JW having surgery contact the local elders. A letter was read to our congregation regarding informing elders of a surgery on March 11th, 2019. So that wasn't too long ago.
That's right.
The local elders will inquire if the surgeon will do the surgery without a blood transfusion. If the surgeon is not cooperative, HLC is contacted. The patient is then directed by HLC to a bloodless program director at a hospital that does bloodless surgery. So you can see hospitals are anxious to get these programs set up so that they will get the business not another hospital.
Right. See? And I guarantee that somehow, some way, Watchtower is going to get a kickback.
I wouldn't doubt it. Everyone wins. Watchtower is seen as a savior. The patient is not disobeying Jehovah/Watchtower. The hospital gets a warm body to operate on, and revenue comes in to pay the bloodless surgery director and his staff. JWs are coming from Europe to have bloodless surgery in U.S. hospitals. Well, I happen to know of someone who lives in another country that has a heart problem that is probably going to be coming to the U.S. to have heart surgery. And his last comment on this, what a racket.
What a racket.
It's a snare and a racket. Now, I've got another, because we were emailing back and forth, and oh my goodness, this information, all of this is just so incredible, you know, and thank you so much. Okay, unfortunately, now what I had asked him is when he was talking to Mike on the phone, he had mentioned that there is a form that can be signed where you fire your doctor.
Dismiss the doctor, exactly.
Yeah, and it's like, wow, they really have that power.
That
and it's
much
like,
control.
Yes. And I have thousands of forms from Watchtower, you know, in our beast, in our archives, our Beastzilla, in the archives. And I need like a number to find it, or else like, you know, whatever is in the short description of the file. So I've been looking for it. But I just happened to ask him, you know, do you happen to know what it is, or if you have it, you know, anything that will help me find it. And this is what he wrote back. Unfortunately, I don't have a copy, but it exists and is used. In our quarterly HLC meetings, we were told that doctors do not want on their record a blemish of being dismissed by a patient. So you can figure Watchtower's going to use this to their advantage.
Of course, they're going to they're going to use the hired guns.
Yeah, and this is exactly what he says next. He says, so this dismissal form could be weaponized if need be. I forgot to explain the HLC escalation process. Now remember, this is someone who was in the HLC, so he knows, which I used regularly. Here is how it works. When HLC is not getting the result it wants, step 1, charge nurse. This nurse is a supervisor of the floor nurses. She has direct contact with doctors. You go to her to get what you want. If not, step 2, risk management. Each hospital has this complaint department. You can officially file a complaint against the hospital or doctor. Hospitals want to avoid any further escalation, so HLC can usually get what they want at this point. The control and intimidation is just...
Well, that's how they keep some Jehovah's Witnesses in their seats, intimidation. You know, if you leave Jehovah's organization, we'll have to disfellowship you, and you can't talk to your parents or your friends no more. That's intimidation.
Yeah. Exactly. Finally, step 3, hospital CEO. This final step creates big problems. What doctor or surgeon wants their boss bothered by HLC? I regularly use the escalation process. I never needed to go to step 3. Quote me if you like. As an HLC member, I represented Watchtower. I knew I could get a lawyer to support my efforts with one phone call. I could be intimidating if need be. So that's a direct quote right from the source who is in HLC. So, you know, Jehovah's Witnesses for the most part never know what goes on behind the scenes.
Right.
With the HLC and the control they have over, you know, hospitals and the staff. And it's like, wow. Now I'm also going to put down below the link to some leaked videos that we have been leaked to the HLC meetings at headquarters. They had video conferences on the HLC, and it's on our secret other channel, and so with the leaked video. So I'm going to put the link down below to those HLC, leaked video conferences, because those are interesting. Now, you ready for the Watchtower
Oh yeah.
old literature quote? All right, this is from the Golden Age. I know. Oh, well, it's a good thing Jehovah's Witnesses don't believe this anymore, because that's old light.
No. That's old truth is what that. This is old truth, Jehovah's Witnesses.
They believed it at the time. The Golden Age, February 4th, 1931, page 294. First column. Let's see, it'd be the second paragraph. It's the paragraph at the bottom. Oh, actually, let me go back up to the paragraph above it, because this is where it starts. There are two things that God in this covenant, now it's talking about the blood covenant. There are two things that God in this covenant forbids man's doing. One is that man shall not take the blood of the beast internally, and the other is that he shall not shed the blood of his fellow man. If he should violate this law, then by man should his blood be shed. As the beast was included in this covenant, its blood could in like manner be shed. So that was their beliefs back in 1931. Okay? Going on, the next paragraph. All reasonable minds must conclude that it was not the eating of the blood that God objected to, but it was bringing the blood of the beast in contact with the blood of man. Not only has man shed the blood of his fellow man unlawfully, but he has taken the body of the beast and unlawfully polluted its blood with poison, and afterwards taken this blood and injected it directly into contact with the blood of the man in the name of vaccine and antitoxin. To my mind, this is a violation of the law of God in the most degrading manner possible to conceive of. So they believed it was the taking in of animal blood.
Yeah.
That was against God's law. And there's more. Towards the end of the article, it talks about vaccination has never saved a human life. It does not prevent smallpox. Good food, good water, and sanitary living conditions are the basis of human health. So you can see what their beliefs on blood was
and how
back
it's changed
then.
through the years.
Now, Mike has talked to some,
Yes.
I guess you could call them current Jehovah's Witness.
Yes. Some
Fully
of you,
awake, a PIMO.
Yeah, a PIMO. See, some of you friends that are physically in but mentally out, some of you have already made your decision behind closed doors that you're going to accept blood. In the absolute last case scenario. But some of you have also come to recognize that when you fill out your DPAs and or your medical directive cards, that your congregation elders have these. And through these medical cards, they can be given to the HLC members. And some of you have recognized you don't want that to happen, because you know that when you're on that operating table in a dire situation, the HLC can come in, and as we've just shown through Watchtower literature, that doesn't matter what case study they use, it's cherry picked. So they are once again in control. So how do you take that control out of their hands? Well, while not giving anybody any legal advice, but I will tell you what others have chosen to do. What they've chosen to do is to fill out 2 of these and even 2 DPAs. They will date one and give it to the elders, and then they will fill out a second one and date it, and every one of these DPAs always have a little extra section to where you can write in your wishes. And at that time, what some have expressed to us is that they are writing that any document that's presented dated prior to this one is null and void. It's null and void. And then they will go on to explain, while, something to the effects that while, you prefer blood not to be used, but as an absolute last result, I'll accept blood. But see, this is how they're doing it, so that when the hospital monkeys, the hospital liaison monkeys come in there, with your DPA, dated yada, 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 the doctor or the anesthesiologist or the hospital staff can say, nope, I have it written right here. This one dates more current than yours. Yours is null and void. And this is how some have chosen to get around this while still being inside, physically in, but mentally out. That's just something you may want to consider, because as we have shown, the Watchtower Bible Tract Society not only takes away your religious sovereignty, they also take away your individual sovereignty in these hospitals. It's the proof is in the pudding, guys. These guys, deep down in, are evil. Even though some of the things that they suggest is a good route to go. I mean, even on some of this, these could very well be a good route to go in helping the doctor preserve your life. But ultimately, they are taking your sovereignty from you and putting it on them. So the only way that you can sidestep this is, one, do what some have chosen to do, or two,
second one.
Right. And the other choice is to educate yourself to the level that the HLC is on, and then learn how to counteract that. See, if you are aware that the Watchtower Bible Tract Society, as pointed out by this ex-hospital liaison elder, that they cherry-pick from studies, then get that study and point out to that doctor or the anesthesiologist ultimately that Watchtower has cherry-picked this. I am not in agreement with this. That's how you can do that, is educate, because we all know in a previous video, Watchtower lives in the world of 3D vision. Deceive, divide, destroy. That's what it's all about with these people.
Now, I just want to make a clarification here that all those in the HLC, Mike, is not, calling them monkey asses, because there are some honest-hearted, awake elders that we know are still in, but fully awake. And we are not talking about you at all. When he says that, it's ones fully indoctrinated that have to go in and get control, over these situations. Those are the ones that, we always mock and talk about.
Obviously.
But, I just want to say that those that are still in, my hearts go out to all of you. And we know a lot of you, personally, and have talked to you. Our hearts go out to you because it's so difficult for you to know all this and be fully awake, but still have to go through the motions. And I also want to thank our source so much. And my goodness, we appreciate you giving us this information so that we can get it out to the world. Yeah. And especially Jehovah's Witnesses. Let them know how controlling the HLC guys are going to be. Right. And when they come in, they basically take over. And it sounds like they are not above, threatening even the CEO of the hospital.
They're literally, in their minds, they're playing God.
They're thugs.
They're playing God.
Yeah.
Over your life.
Yeah.
Over your sovereignty.
Yeah. Exactly.
Over your will.
Exactly. So thank you for watching, and we hope you have a wonderful weekend. And we've been reading some of the comments under our videos. Thank you to all our new subscribers. Thank you to all our old subscribers, who watch our videos. We appreciate it, and we appreciate your comments. Yes. Even the negative ones, because we've been getting some negative ones.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
There was one, never been a JW, and it's just triggered because we talk against those good Christians. You know, the poor Jehovah's Witnesses, how dare you talk against them? You know, you're supposed to be talking about the good news from God. Okay, one, we've never said this channel was for preaching the good news of God.
It's all been about study, research, and learning.
It's been about, you know, getting people to do their research and about the victims. You know, we support the victims on this channel. And I don't care what religion. We've talked about several different religions and told them how they're wrong and exposed them. We're here for the victims of these cults. That's who we're here for. You know, to speak out and to give a voice to those who can't. You know, there's several that are still in and can't say anything. They don't have a voice. They have no one to talk to. Well, guess who they talk to?
Yeah, and, you know, and some of these videos that I've done in the past year and a half, a lot of it, friends, starts with you sending stuff to us, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I never saw that before. For instance, go and read Ezekiel 8, starting with verse 11, and then do a little bit of research based on those scriptures, and do some research about how these Israelites today are reestablishing what ended up being an evil controlling entity. But you have to read Ezekiel 8 verses 11 and a few right there talking about the Council of 70.
Yeah, Sanhedrin.
Yeah.
So anyway, but we appreciate all of your guys' help, information, and, you know, getting this stuff to us because we know you're, you know, taking a risk.
Absolutely.
And, you know, that's why we do our best to protect our sources, because, you know, you guys are the ones on the front lines, and we appreciate it. And we appreciate the sacrifice, too.
So thanks for watching. We hope that this is informative enough for you to maybe click on some of you got to put these in the link down below, right? Or no, we probably can't because Watchtower is going to want to, you know, try to go after us again for copyrighted material.
Yeah.
But hey, Watchtower, I have it. We are your worst nightmare.
So, if I can find a way to get these scanned and, you know, the PDFs, you know, somewhere to where, you know, they can't shut us down, I will put the link down below. And, so, you all have a great weekend. Bye.
Bye.